Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Tyler Weiskup here from NFM headquarters with your friend and mine, Becca Sudbeck.
Hi.
Hi, Becca. And Hilary Waltemath, Visual Display General Manager.
Hey.
Hey, Hilary. And today we're talking to Russell Weaver, our EDIC Manager and resident guest host on electronics and all things smart home nerdying.
If it plugs in, I'll talk to you about it.
Excellent. That's a wide range. I don't know if we can get ourselves in trouble that way, but we'll take it. Welcome, Russell. And as a reminder, our new guest hosts are NFMers with life passions. They're either home life experts that we're just going to call on from time to time to help answer questions that you have. And in this case, just to learn a little bit more about how this process works, I have a ton of questions that I'm going to ask Russell. So I'm excited to shamelessly figure out a way to use the podcast to check off my to-do list.
Slightly self-serving, but I think that's A-okay. Let's get it taken care of.
Tyler in a nutshell. Okay.
Excellent. But before we get to that, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast, and that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because we believe your home life should be your best life. Learn more at nfm.com. So let's jump into the questions. Again, these are kind of a cattle call of things that I've had to deal with in my home in the past. And so they're wide-ranging, and I'm excited to knock this stuff out. So the first question that I had for you, Russell, is around Wi-Fi extenders. I don't know a lot about them. I haven't researched them at all, but I've recently moved my office into the basement, and a couple times some people have some problems with my internet getting a little choppy, and so I'm wondering if Wi-Fi extenders really work.
Yes.
Okay.
Some better than others, and there's usually a better way of doing it.
Oh, okay.
So most of the time people have a router, a Wi-Fi router. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they rent it from their internet service provider. Sometimes it's something they purchase. But think of a Wi-Fi router as a screaming child, and you put them in a room, and the more rooms and doors you have in between you and that screaming child, it's harder to hear. That's what your Wi-Fi signal is. Probably could use a heater analogy instead, but I'm just using a screaming child because everybody, a lot of people.
A good visual, yeah.
I got the picture 100%.
Yeah,
and I don't even have a kit, so.
So if you're down in the basement and your router is upstairs, getting that signal downstairs is harder to do.
Yeah.
So what a Wi-Fi extender does is think of it like a baby monitor.
Okay.
You've got something sending a signal, and you're just relaying that signal into that room. It doesn't sound as good as as realistic or as natural as the baby crying because it's a reproduction of that signal. Yeah. And that's exactly what you're doing is you're taking that signal, relaying it to another device. Now, the problem with it is most of the time your extender is going to have its own an ISP or a SSD is what they call it.
Okay.
So you're going to have your Wi-Fi name, and then you're going to have an extender name. So you're going to have to disconnect from one to connect to the other, and it's not a smooth handoff all the time. So another way of doing that is what we call a mesh network. So a mesh network, instead of having one device sending out a signal and another device relaying it further, what it is, it's sending out the same signal in the house. So you have different nodes that run through your home sending out the same Wi-Fi. So you don't have to disconnect from one to connect to the other. They all have the same SSID name. So it's an easier way of getting that distributed signal throughout. Here in a commercial situation like Nebraska Furniture Mart, we use what they call WAPs, or wireless access points. Similar to a mesh network to where it's all sending the same signal out, but instead of being a wireless transmission, it's a hardwired transmission you have a traffic director, a switch, that's telling where to go. Yeah. You can do the same thing for your house. There are a number of manufacturers that will put wireless access points. They can put that throughout your home. So usually in larger homes, we have people that like that idea of having the same signal going throughout the house so they don't have to disconnect from one device to connect to another device. It's just an easier way of doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
So are you manually having to do that, disconnect and reconnect?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So So what happens is let's say your phone. Your phone is going to connect to either the last thing you were connected to or the strongest thing you were connected to.
Okay.
So if your Wi-Fi signal from one isn't as strong as the other, it's going to keep on that stronger signal, and that handoff, that traffic handoff, doesn't always happen. And so if you've ever been in somebody's home and they say, oh, don't connect to that one, connect to that one because that has a stronger signal, or an extender, and you're in this side, you have to connect to that extender instead of the Wi-Fi router because it's a better signal. So it's a manual trade-off of doing. Now, for your situation where it's your office and you do that the once, it's not as big of an issue for that device.
Yeah.
If you're in a situation where you can't run an Ethernet cable from where your internet equipment is upstairs down to where your basement is, that's one way of doing it. Another is called a power line adapter, that you'll have something that plugs into your power into the wall upstairs. You run a network cable to that, and then you plug in something in that room and it comes out Ethernet, and it uses your power lines in your house to send your internet signal through, and then you keep it hardwired instead of wireless.
Power line.
Don't write that down. You don't want
I
that.
think
Oh, okay.
here's the moral of this story. Just come to these guys and let them do it. I will say, I don't, this is all really technical, but like in our house, my friend Will has hooked us up.
Will does a great job. Yeah.
I feel like at one point we had two different like Wi-Fi codes, and then at some point he came back and they're all one now. We don't have to switch to anything, and we must have something because I feel like it works a lot better now.
Yeah.
In like our bedroom and like basement, things that were far away.
Yep.
So
I love that.
The hardest thing with the network is every home is going to be different on anything from a large mirror to a glass backsplash in your kitchen can change your Wi-Fi signal.
Oh, weird.
Your building material, if you have plaster and lath with chicken wire in there, is going to be harder to send that Wi-Fi signal than somebody that just has basic drywall. So all of that plays into effect on what it does, but a network is the backbone of it. When we were talking last time about how you want to make things as complex or as simple as you can, simple for interface but complex operation, all that operates off of your network. That is the backbone to all of those advanced systems. Any of the automation is done through backbone of a network, and without that solid network, your other stuff won't work right. So Alexa and Siri and your Wi-Fi lights, all of that works off of there. If you don't have a solid network, you won't get a good experience out of all those automated pieces of equipment. So this is usually the conversation we have with the customers is we need to make sure your network works properly so you aren't frustrated about your new purchase. You just bought this cool light switch that does X, Y, and Z, and you walk into a room and you clap your hands and your garage door opens or whatever you want it to do. All that works off of that network. All that's important.
Yeah, and I would assume it's the product that's the end product that's like turning your lights on or whatever is the problem and not your
and that's
connection.
that's
that causes
very
a lot
common
of
thing because
frustration.
I can go in my office and I can still work on stuff and I can still stream YouTube, but my lights aren't turning blue when I want them to, and it's obviously because the lights are garbage,
Right.
and nobody's looking at your network on not only how well the signal is distributed, but how strong that signal, how much bandwidth we're getting. All of that plays in. So in my household, there are really only two of us using internet equipment at the same time, but somebody with kids at home and everything else, all that bandwidth is eaten up by your phone, by your Ring doorbell, by your lights that are doing whatever. So if you ever look at your list of equipment that's connected to your wireless, a lot of people forget how much is actually connected and dialing out to the internet.
I have a question that is kind of related to this. So like once Will came and hooked us up, he we have this app called Eero.
Yeah.
Is that that's pretty, I didn't know
that is your new mesh network.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's awesome because you can if I need to shut off Wi-Fi to a video game system or an iPad, it's real easy for me to just pause it and they no longer get internet on there.
Putting those controls saying, I want this device not to work from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m.
It's awesome.
You can go in and set all those things. So if you told somebody, hey, there's no iPad after 10 o'clock.
No, it works
There's
great.
no iPad after 10 o'clock.
I need someone to do that to me. Someone to take away my access.
Now, the unfortunate thing is as soon as someone is smart enough to go, oh, I can I can now use my phone as a hotspot, and I'll just
Yeah,
connect to that
yeah,
and rattle
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
There's a workaround for the kids in front, and
yes.
then you get, those kids, I raised them too well,
Yeah.
too
They're
smart.
definitely smarter than. But no, that I mean, I feel like it's knowing that they could use their cell phone. Like then I could just be like, all right.
Yeah.
I said it was time to be done, and they're not listening. I'll just shut it off.
Yeah.
I don't, that part's been great. I feel like
That first level of parental control is a really nice thing to be able to go in and know that, hey, I want that TV
Yeah.
in their room, not be able to stream
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
And it's shut down on that device. So that's what's nice about a lot of those newer network pieces of that traffic control and that parental control is really, really intuitive also.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a programming degree to get in there.
Is the level of service that you have from the internet provider, how much does that affect? Like if, for example, because I have another question that's
Yes.
related to like my smart TV.
Yes.
We were going to ask about.
Mhm.
And their answer is always like, well, you just need more internet.
Of course. Give me more money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I guess the question is like, when does more internet become the answer versus like better equipment?
Absolutely. So most homes, when you get into basic service, is going to be enough for, basic Netflix and, getting online and doing email and whatnot. When you start getting into that, the mid-range, 300 megs per second and 500 is for that 4K, multiple people watching TV at the same time. Any of those 300 to 500 is going to be able to take care of most households. That's a point where you can truly say your distribution and the bandwidth from the internet service provider to your home is taken care of. That 300 to 500 is a lot. But once it gets into your home, the equipment, it's kind of like a fire hose into a garden hose situation. Because if you get the fire hose coming in the house and all I have is a garden hose to send it out, I have all this bandwidth I'm not able to utilize. So having that ability to distribute that signal properly and being able to have your device, whatever device that be, being able to utilize it makes a lot of difference. So, for example, if you had a phone that's 3 years old,
Yep.
older Wi-Fi chip, not going to be able to take advantage of the new Wi-Fi 6. So even though you have the faster equipment, or if you've got that 500 megs you're paying for, but your router only has the ability to do 100 meg pass through, that's your choke point is what we call it. So that choke point becomes the problem, and that's where we take a look. And nobody loves somebody coming to their house and go, "Oh, you've got garbage. Let me get rid of that garbage for you." Nobody
Right.
wants to hear that.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially in a household where a budget's necessary. People have a budget for everything. And when we try to have that conversation of your budget for your home entertainment, I am a big proponent of, I do a lot of my own entertaining at home. I don't go to as many movies as I used to. I don't go out, especially with somebody with young children where Bluey is on all the time and something's up. Those type of things, that's your home entertainment dollar. So if you don't have the backbone to support your home entertainment dollar, it's an efficiency matter. I'm not getting as much for my money as I'm paying for. And so if I'm paying that internet service provider all that money for the bandwidth, my choke point is my equipment, then that's where we have to take a look at your 3-year-old router will need to be replaced. Your Wi-Fi system, if it's an old Wi-Fi system, we need to go Wi-Fi 6 or new AC or whatever that would be, new mesh network. That's that efficiency of making your dollar go as far as it can.
Yeah. And if you don't want to spend hours and hours researching, back to what Becca was talking about, like coming in and actually asking a human like how
Yes.
to do these things, because
Yes.
like that's why I brought this question. Is I don't like who's got the time to sit around. I can't understand all of those things.
And they're
So-
not going to give you the great analogies that Russell did.
And yeah, the fire
He does have
hose,
a
the
lot of
crying
Screaming
baby.
children,
crying
like it makes
baby.
sense. I feel like
It's-
I could come over and fix your internet now.
Yeah, I'm 100% for this, and that's basically all the time we have. No, we have time for like I think maybe another question at the
Sure.
pace that we're going. So I'm gonna have to be selective. I kind of I don't know if this one's gonna take long, but I highlighted it, so I feel like I have to ask.
Okay.
I have to reset what ends up happening. I have to reset the factory settings on my Samsung Frame TV, like it seems to happen like when I think it's updating, because it just kills the internet and doesn't want to like connect anymore. And anytime I try to connect it, it will just like internet goes down.
Yeah.
Usually I'll just disconnect it and reset it factory settings, and that's what I have to keep doing to make it work. What's that about?
So if you ever, another analogy,
Yeah. Okay.
take your car into the shop, says making the squeaking noise,
Okay.
and they go, okay, well, I got to drive it around and see what it is. No, it makes a noise that goes, ee. It's like, well, there are about 30 different things that could be. And just like this, Samsung is just like every other television, uses especially if you're using the Wi-Fi, uses a chipset, and that Wi-Fi antenna, just like your phone and everything else, receives the signal in, it goes through a process, it has a board that runs everything, and then it goes through its own operating system, just like your computer does. Every once in a while, you need to restart your computer. You need to flush your cookies out. You need to do all that. It's one thing it could be. It could be your Wi-Fi antenna. The software in there needs to be updated. When's the last time you did a software update on your TV?
On the TV? Well, like when it tells me that it's doing it, I think it's assigned. I don't know.
Yeah. So those are all
The
of
TV
those.
does it.
Yeah. Those are a lot of those things that it could be.
Okay.
But if your Samsung Frame television, we shouldn't say Samsung Frame TV. They're a great partner and they make a great television. We sell it.
Yeah, I
They
really-
do a wonderful
I
job.
I've
really
never had
enjoy
any
it.
problem. I've
I
never had
want
any
one.
updates on mine. Just
Well,
More than likely, yours is set to automatically update and don't tell me about it.
probably.
There we go. So with the Wi-Fi shutting down on the TV, and if it takes you to get it up and running to do a factory reset and do a restart every time, that sounds like there's a possibility of a hardware issue that needs to be replaced, either the Wi-Fi antenna or the board or something on there. It is unusual to have to go to that amount. Usually turning it on and off again or power cycling it, unplugging it and plugging it back in is really all you should do as a consumer to reset your television to get it to where it should go. If you have to go to a factory reset, there are some bigger issues. Now, of course, Samsung has a 1-year warranty on their product. Calling Samsung
Did you
will
get
usually
Square Trade?
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't do this. I
and then if Square Trade is on the product, that's the nice thing is calling Square Trade. They'll send a local shop out. They'll take a look at it. But the hard thing is back to that car analogy. You're driving and it makes that noise. They bring it in, somebody else drives it, and they go, I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. It doesn't do it.
Yep.
Watching that happen in real time because you're there 99% of the time to watch it happen versus that 30-minute interaction with that servicer. Can I make it recreate what it's doing while that servicer is there is a lot harder thing to explain and to do. So on something like that, it would more than likely somebody would take a look at the board, see if there's something going on with the power supply or a capacitor or something that needs to be replaced.
Okay. Well, shoot. All right. I think we have time for another question.
Let's hear it. What else in your house is not working right?
It sounds like we need to come out.
I know.
man.
I'm like, what are you doing? You
It's
should
not
just-
a bad
just
idea.
give them a call.
The more that we're talking. Okay, so I want to set up a projector in my basement.
Yes.
And we chatted a little bit about this offline, but I easily want to take it outside because we have like a pop-up projector, and I'd love to be able to just like watch movies outside as well. So like, so I guess what would be the best option
To buy 2 projectors.
for 2 projectors?
They'll make it easy for you.
Jeez.
That's
So
not going to work for
here's
Tyler.
here's what we're running into. So this is where my I am going to sound very elitist here,
All
and
right.
I apologize.
I love
a
that.
home theater projector. When somebody has the room that they built for a theater,
Sure.
that quality of projector to get the experience that they want out of it is not the same projector as a portable projector to throw up on a screen and get. That's 2 different pieces. Could you take that projector down and move it outside? You absolutely can, but the money that should be spent on a projector on a dedicated room shouldn't be a portable projector. It shouldn't be something you take down and jostle around, because every time you do and put that back up, that means realigning the picture and resizing it and getting the geometry all correct and the focus and everything, versus the investment in a portable projector. So I just set up a driveway theater setup for myself.
Yeah.
I went inexpensive because this is outside where it's going to be sucking in dirty air with bugs and everything else that I don't want on my theater projector. I don't want to worry
Makes
about
sense.
mosquitoes getting on my lens and everything else.
I didn't think that was an issue, but now thank you for
It's-
inventing a new problem that I have to worry about.
Yeah, yep. So, but that projector and screen was a minimal investment because it's a temporary solution. It's for the few times a year. In Nebraska, we've brought 6 livable weeks outside that are comfortable that we can do something. So that time and setting it up and having that great, actually, funny enough, Saturday, that's what's going on, is I'm setting up the screen. I've got PA speakers. I've got things set up. I also do that for Halloween. I set up that, and we have a little warming station with hot cocoa and cider and everything else. But that's
I
not
don't
my...
get the invite to this party.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds
did
pretty
our
fun.
invites
Okay.
get lost in the
Yeah,
mail?
yeah.
If you- would you-
Uh,
If you want to come over for Halloween, you are more than welcome to. There's a reason why I hand out full-size candy bars. I am that house. Anyways, I think the thought process on building a theater in a home is
Sure.
a completely different thought process of making it portable and moving around. Saying that, if somebody came to me and said, listen, I'm just going to throw it up on the side of a wall every once in a while, watch a movie for kicks and giggles, this is not a dedicated theater and I want it mobile, absolutely. Epson makes a lot of great projectors that are designed to be picked up and moved around precisely for that purpose.
Yeah.
The outdoor system, the audio is where it gets a little wonky. How am I going to set up? PA speakers are a great way to go. A party box is a great way to go.
Yeah.
Something that I can set that projector on. If you've got a pop-up screen or an inflatable screen or whatever, there are a ton of options on there. I just saw a business model where somebody does that, where they bring a projector in, they bring up speakers, and they bring blow-up pools. And they they bring blow-up pools, and they'll put blankets in there and pillows and everything else, and you stay in the they'll have 6 or 7 of them in the yard, and they do kids parties where they watch a movie at night with these little blow-up
That's a good idea.
By the way, we got blow-up pools on closeout.
Yeah, I'm
going
gonna do that.
That's a great idea.
That is a good idea.
My little inflatable pool.
Okay. I think I've got all my questions answered. Anything from you two before we wrap things up here?
Well, I was considering the Samsung Freestyle projector because of its portable
It's exactly
ability.
what it's made for.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw at times I like watching TV in the bedroom, but I don't love the aesthetic of a TV in the
Yes.
bedroom. And I saw somebody they use the projector because they throw it up on their
Absolutely.
white wall, and it's just this it's no bigger than a can light.
It is a can. It's
Yeah.
funny enough. There's an adapter to put it in a light socket. So
Brilliant.
So the Freestyle projector is a great example of I'm not looking for the highest quality for a dedicated theater. I want to move it around. I want to take this when I travel and put it on the side of the hotel room wall or on the ceiling because I'm going to lay in bed and hook it up to my phone and play it on the ceiling and just go to bed on that. That's exactly what it's made to do. Perfect. Great. Now, the drawback to it is for personal use, it's fantastic. Trying to get that blown up to 120-inch screen size for an inflatable screen, not the one you'd use. But that portable on the side of the wall, move it, take it with me, it's exactly what it's designed to do. It's a really, really good example.
Okay, cool.
So we have to kind of internalize what are we doing? What's our motivation here? And make sure we're making the right choices.
And good news is we're here to help exactly with that.
Yeah,
Because,
it's like that little purchasing flow chart. If yes, then.
Yep.
If no, then.
Yeah.
So in our consultation area, we took the chairs out and put a therapist couch on because it's the first half hour.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Smart,
at all.
smart.
That is a lie.
Get comfy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Russell. I think I learned a lot. I only did half of my to-do list, so obviously we're going to have to bring you back to kind of knock out the whole thing. But anything that you want to leave us on, any final words of advice for what we've chatted about so far today?
I think for any customers that have a frustration of this part isn't working or this piece isn't working, we've got a wide network of people at Nebraska Furniture Mart that can help in various things. But just remember, you might not like the answer, but we're here to help, and that's what we're here to do, is to make sure that your experience is as best as it possibly can.
Yeah.
So.
It makes total sense. Okay.
said.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Hilary and Russell. And of course, our producers, Scott and Brene. And thank you to everyone listening. And remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the I Am Home podcast wherever you listen. And then hop over to nfm.com to learn more about our company and shop 24/7 for today's top furnishing styles. We'll be back again soon with another episode. Till then, remember, home is what you make it.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hilary Woltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.